first of all, what's your name?
Well, hi. My name is Jill, but I go by Cookie. Yeah.
Cool. Where did you get the name Cookie from?
I. Oh, that's a long story. Years and years ago, I chose that name because I feel like I'm a bit of an eccentric girl, I guess, and I guess it stuck.
Yeah, Cookie is fun. But yeah, it's a very interesting name. I like to ask artists that question because it's like a name. It's usually a name other than their actual name, and it causes like a lot of people to, I don't know, go through introspection. Like the reasons why I chose my name is different from everybody else's.
Well, in my case, it's a bit special, I guess, because with my music, I do go by Cookie, right? Like I publish my music under Cookie. My logo says Cookie, but that's more. I mean, that's because it's my VR username, right? Yeah. I feel if I hadn't been on VR, it would probably be under like Jill. But I kind of like Cookie because it kind of makes sense with the whole like sonic personality of my music. It's very eclectic at times, so I kind of like that. And I even though I go by Cookie with my music, I still have like a song where I literally say I am a woman and my name is Jill, right? And so many other songs where I use the word Jill. I don't know. It's a little special with me, I guess.
Well, no, I understand. It is also special with me because Alex is my first name and Gray is a completely different name. And it was a really complicated to like figure all that out, of like figuring out what I wanted to call myself. And it was really annoying because Alex Gray is such a common name and I didn't know about. And then I realized that it was correlated to like a famous psychedelic artist who did album covers for a bunch of musicians. And then there's another Alex Gray of another artist, of another musician. And so I had to make it, the Gray be like Groy, like with a specific character on the A to make it stand out and also make it like unique enough. And it was very annoying. So I'm glad you're able to find a more interesting way to go about than mine.
Oh no, you have no idea. If you type Cookie on Google, you'll find Young Cook from BTS because that's how the fans call Young Cook. I have the worst SEO out of all the musicians I know.
How long have I known you now? It's been like a couple of years at this point.
2 years, yeah, 2.5, I guess.
I've never heard Young Cook. I don't even know who is
Young Cook. Yeah, he's a member of BTS, and so their fan just call them like Cookie.
That's fun. I didn't know that.
Like same spelling as me as well.
So, like somebody in my producer, like Robbie, always like beats me over the head with this, because like I am not a musician's musician. He's desperately trying to make me a musician's musician, because when I was like, before I even started my music career, I was trying to figure out like what the heck am I supposed to be, and I just I didn't know any artists' names. I didn't know any like history behind artists' names. I just knew like the standard stuff, and it was just, yeah.
Actually, that's less fine. So, knowing your standards, that's cool. But if you only know your standards, then your music is gonna be influenced in the same way that every other person makes music.
Well, yeah.
Now, what's good is when you have a few tastes, and they're very eclectic, because then you start making like very interesting music. I don't know, like I'm one of my biggest influences, and this is not a joke, is the French rapper Joel. The French rapper Joel, who is, he came from like the region I was from too, which is kind of cool. Not the same city though. he came out of nowhere. He used to be this guy in his room that had no money, struggling and just making beats every day, and then making beats for small rappers around, and eventually like he became big on his own accord, self-published and everything, and now he's the biggest rapper, if not the biggest artist in France. And one of the reasons his sound is so unique, in my opinion, is that he's not a musician's musician. Like, he has very few old tastes, and he actually didn't really listen much to what was going on around him in the scene at the time, which made him stick out from the scene.
So it helps. It helps not knowing everything.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel a little better.
And no one can know everything. I discover artists all the time.
Yeah, me too. Ravi's also been a really good source of that, because every time we go to drive somewhere, he's listening to another album, and he's just like, this person's fantastic. Like, there's an artist who goes by Underscores, and I had no idea they existed until he showed it to me. And they have some really good music.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
We're gonna try to see them in. We're gonna try to see them in a concert in like April 17th in Los Angeles. No, wait, not in Los Angeles, but like an hour away from there. But yeah.
One of my most recent finds was Jezebel Gebergli, that I was introduced to by a friend of mine, who has the most beautiful eclectic tastes I know. And she was like, "You don't know Jezebel Gebergli?" I was like, "No, I don't know Jezebel Gebergli." And she showed it to me, and I was like, "What? That's so cool." And it kind of influenced half of my album a little bit. Though I wish I could do more stuff in that direction, but it made me less afraid of insane amounts of distortions.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So like, what influences are in your album, by the way? Like, you have an album coming out, so.
Yes, and yes, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
My album Baby Trans is coming out on March 31st on Trans Day of Visibility, which also happens to be the second anniversary of my transition. So it's a doubly important date for me, and so it was doubly important that the album come out on that day. There are many influences in the album. I think I should, before I talk about the influences, so you can understand, I should probably mention how it's structured, because it's not exactly fully concept album per se, but there is an underlying sound concept to it. Is that throughout the album, I want to take the listener through a journey of transition. So the album starts with very, let's say, standard sounds, old-fashioned, I guess. Very, you get this like 80s power ballad type of stuff, and you get this like very 1960s Beatles sound, and then you're gonna get more and more into some first part you're still gonna be in some pretty, I wouldn't say conservative, but pretty old-fashioned production styles. And then as you move towards the end of the album, you're gonna get more towards like pop and stuff that is more inspired by Lady Gaga, for instance. But very much towards the end of the album, I took some more inspiration from the French house sound that I loved when I was younger, back when Daft Punk were still around. I don't know. It's like very much this like modernization of the sound, and also it gets more and more trans in the sound. Like when this summer I got to experience my first like very gender music event, right? Like a lot of like artists that were like either like gender non-conforming or non-binary or trans, and I got to experience the sound of that scene a lot. And it's a lot of hyperpop, it's a lot of Dariocore, it's a lot of insane distortion, right? So I wanted to bring that as well in there. Now, this is no hyperpop album. This is not gonna be like that's not what it is. There are some inspirations that I draw, and I want to make it a bridge to like for my future albums. So I kind of want to lean into that scene sound, I guess, as I go further on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I when I first saw you perform in it was in Hanover. It was in Hanover, Germany.
Yeah.
For the first time in person. You were very happy to be there, and
God, it was so cool.
You were playing just with the guitar, and everybody was dancing around, and we had little. There's a shrimp song.
Yeah, and you had the big
that I
pins,
remember.
right?
Yeah, I had the big pins for the shrimp. That was such a unique experience. That whole festival was such a unique experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you think there's anything you learned from that whole journey, from being able to go to that festival?
Yes, I love performing in real life because I don't get stage fright when I'm performing in real life. In VR, I'm always afraid of crashing. And since that's not a problem in real life, I don't get stage fright. So that's great.
Wow. And also to give, I was going to give reference to what we're talking about. There is a music festival. So there's a music festival in Germany called Oral Alliance. It was a really fantastic festival. Very small. It was small-ish. It was small-ish.
Yeah. There's a lot of artists, so.
Yeah, it was a lot of artists. It was a very unique experience. Yeah, it was a fun time. But it was your first time performing, was it your first time performing, as
live? It was my first time performing live, if you accept that one time in 2013, that I played Sultans of Swing in front of the parents of the kids of my music class thing. That was the only other time I had ever performed in front of an audience in real life. And I wouldn't even count it because it was just one song and I was just playing the guitar. So it was technically, yes, it was my first real live concert.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was a crazy thing, being able to fly over there and check it out, because I was in London during the time, and I was planning to go to London, and then that festival just happened to be a little bit a couple of days after I was going to leave, so I decided to extend it to go and say hi to everybody, and we made it a whole thing.
Oh yeah, I met so many great people there, made so many new friends, found love.
Found love, yes.
Kissed that love on stage, and you can see it in the VOD that's on my YouTube channel. Yes, no, it was
Would that happen to influence any of the songs in the album, by the way?
Not really, because the album, as the songs on the album are all songs that you already know of mine that I perform acoustically. They're pretty much all my trans/LGBT related ones. There is an extra new one in there. There were supposed to be two, but I decided to scrap one of them because I want to release it as a single afterwards, because I think it has a lot more potential as a single. So there is one new one, which happens to be the final song on the album.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to reveal what the songs are. I feel like it's... but you can definitely expect Born Again to be in there, obviously.
Of course.
And your usual suspects are there.
So it's hard to figure out exactly a good time frame of how long it took you to make this album, since it's kind of made of songs from the beginning.
It's actually pretty well, yeah, but I mean the songwriting, when I write, the time it takes me to write a song is usually pretty short. So if you exclude the songwriting itself, producing the album, I started early December. So
Okay.
4 months ish.
4 months? Okay. That's cool. It took me it's taken me a while to figure out how long it's taken me to make this album. I think there's some songs in there that I made 4 years ago that I'm still trying to get right.
I think the oldest song on my album is I'm not going to tell you which one it is. You'll have to guess. But I wrote it in 2015, in the summer of 2015. That's 10 years ago. Holy shit, that's 10 years ago.
We don't talk about that. 2015 didn't happen 10 years ago. No. Nope.
Alex.
No, we don't have to
I'm 29 now. I'm 29.
Yeah, I know, I'm 28. I'm turning 29 in April.
You'll see when you'll be 29.
I'm not thinking about it too much. I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
Next year I will be a third of a century old.
Did you know that like the average lifespan is like 78, so midlife is like 38? Anyway. Okay, so another question I need to ask. Did other people work on the project alongside you?
Yes, at various levels. While I was producing the album in December, I spent a month at my girlfriend's place, and I packed my car with half of my studio in it. And my car is very tiny. It's a Toyota Paseo, if you know. If you know, you know. It's a 90s coupe, so it's a miracle that I was able to fit so much in there. And so I set up in her library room and made a little studio there. And I produced, I want to say 3/4 of the songs on the album. And so while I was there, I met one of my girlfriend's friends, Gabriel. And well, Gabe happens to be an artist. And I was like, so I need album art. Do you want my money? I mean, it was a bit more complicated than that.
Does Gabe do just art stuff, or what else does he? What else do they do?
Gabe did the art for the album, and also Gabe designed Baby Trans, the character, which I am now going to change into.
Oh, okay. I completely forgot about this avatar. Oh my god, that's so cute! I love it.
Yeah, it's literally the avatar from the album art, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So, by the way, I love the album art. By the way, when you showed that to me on Discord, it was like, I was like, this is really nice.
Yeah, I think Kit Kat, when I showed it, said, "I want this on a T-shirt, please." So
I love Kit Kat so much. They helped me yesterday with a bio that I was working on, and they afterwards they're like, I'm just gonna organize it, and then they just completely redid it to where it was and they had tabs for each little subject, and I was like, you didn't have to do any of this. Why? I feel like I'm obligated. But no.
Yeah.
No, she's fantastic.
So this is the Baby Trans character, I guess, that was designed by Gabe, and it is based on a photo I took, because originally the album, I had a photo that I did a photo shoot of myself in the most baby trans outfit possible out in Madrid, and I showed that picture to Gabe, and I was like, can you make this 100 million times more baby trans? And Gabe did it in 10 minutes. And I was like, okay, I love the character. I am commissioning you for the album art, and yeah, it fucking slaps. It fucking slaps. I love it.
Mm-hmm. So this character that you're showing right now, this is you, right? Or is this a character that represents this album.
Yeah, it's more a character that represents the album. They represents the phase of being a baby trans, I guess. If you don't know, a baby trans is when you're like in the early phases of transitioning, you know, like you're very and you're usually very euphoric about it, and it's kind of a wild time, and you're like, I need to buy a skirt on Amazon, and you buy like a skirt on Amazon that doesn't fit you, but it's okay. And you buy the striped socks because it's a fucking meme, and you saw it on the internet, and you buy the striped socks, and you go to IKEA, and you go to the mountains of Blåhejs, and you buy at least one Blåhej.
My friend Ultra Shark brought me a Blåhej.
Oh.
Or like I know they have one. I was just.
What you don't know is that Ultra gave a name to my Blåhej.
What did he give it? What name?
Celine.
Celine!
But not like Celine Dion, like Celine from the moon. Selene.
Oh, okay.
Because my girlfriend's Blåhej's name is Cassiopeia. Yeah.
Yeah, he's always connecting things to astrology. Wait, is it astrology or astronomy? I can never remember.
A star.
Oh, okay.
Astrology would be like star signs.
It's okay. Okay. I can look like an idiot on the internet. I'm okay with this.
That's okay. It's okay. You're a VTuber. It's fine. As long as you're like, Chad?
Chad, is this real, chat? Am I okay? Am I cooked?
No way!
Am I dead?
I have the most VTuber avatar right now. Plus, the bases are Windows, so it just makes it makes it even more VTuber right now. Like
I still like it though. It's still great. I just expect like a magical staff to come out of nowhere and just be like.
I still need to put the microphone on this and everything. So this is baby trans. I kind of the personification of those early stages of the transition, I guess. And it is not me, just like this avatar, even though it's become very much me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just hide.
Well, this was the first. This is the first thing that you showed off when you were here last time. Before I started doing interviews.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Kookie was the first person that graced Storybook Song Club, this area, with her presence.
Yeah.
And,
if you remember Lifetime Black Hole, I was like, hey, I make this album. Why not just like kickstart the Storybook Song Club with it or something? And we did. It was very much like a nice way to iron out all the kinks before we.
And iron them out, we did,
showcase.
And we're still doing it. But it's much better than it was before. Absolutely, you have to start somewhere, especially with interviews, especially with all this in general. Like I said, my whole goal for Storybook Song Club, also for interviews and everything in general, is just I want to try to create like a relaxing space where you can talk about pretty much anything, and then also like for interviews, and then for stuff like for album releases, you can get all your friends in VR, and everybody from all around the world can come in and see what's going on. And I want to showcase and highlight VR musicians that literally put themselves out there and can really show what they got. And because it's just, VR is such a great medium for self-expression, because people can turn into any character that they want, and it's also a great place to just be who you want to be. And it makes me really happy to see it when people fully embrace that concept. Because in the beginning, I was in 2020, VR is really the only place I could go to meet and say hi to other people, and also explore who I was as a person. Because if it wasn't for VR, I would definitely not be this far into my music career.
VR is the history of my transition. I came on VR shortly after starting my transition. First thing I did, Virality Silva. Day one, go to the musicians meet. I meet Corbell. Corbell is like
snoring as usual.
And that's how I got booked.
Yeah. Corbell, by the way, is a freaking awesome promoter and at this point, like, talent scout. At this, like, he's just I can't
that was
speak.
His first calling, I guess. Like, I remember still at the time he called himself a talent scout. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah. He was just
an organizer of it as well.
Unstoppable. And then he created all these like little music venues in VR because there was a bunch of DJs like playing, but there weren't like live performances. There weren't like spaces specifically for live performances.
Not as big as what was made, that's for sure.
Yeah, not as big. And so he sort of just helped pave the way for all these other music venues to sort of form in line. And now I'm thinking we should try to make a tour of all these different venues, kind of like you would around the world.
Yeah, I know a few artists did it. I'm thinking of setting up I'm gonna make a tour to promote the album.
I think that'd be a cool idea.
I'm really hoping to get because I did submit an application to perform at Virality this year. I'm hoping it goes through, which would let me give you my new furry avatar. Because if you know me, if you're an OG, if you know me from way when I started, you know I used to be an otter. The otter is gone because people were way too inappropriate with me, and that was not fun at all. And also, it made no sense to have the cutest otter sing the most sad songs possible. And also,
I think it makes perfect sense.
Seriously. It was cute, and I sometimes like to pull it out of the hammer space it went into, and just go around going like, because it's fun. It was fun.
Great,
but no, but I have something planned because despite my appearance, I still consider myself to be part of the furry community, and I played at Furry Music Festival. Like, that should be enough, right?
It was great,
but
there's one time where we had like a full bar. The whole bar was free for a period of time, and I went over and I tried I was like, I'm gonna try every single local beer that they have, and by the time I think it was like maybe like 5, but that's enough for me to like be like there. And so you were good. I just passed out in the green room. Oh man, it could have been much worse, but yeah, I did the easy way of just.
I love how the green room adopted you, even though you were not a performer or anything. You ended up being adopted into the green room through the power of the OP1.
Through the power of the OP1, the most ridiculous but also surprisingly effective tool I've ever had.
It's really fun.
It really is. It's
really
way
fun,
too expensive for most people, but if you can get it, it's a lifesaver in terms of like musical composition and like for coming up with ideas. But like, there's guitars that are way more expensive than the OP1, and I think they're not as functional.
Yes, there are blues dentists out there. There are blues dentists out there who will say it's totally normal to pay $8,000 for a brand new guitar.
Yeah, and then we asked them where they got that money from, and they're like, my mom. No, I'm just joking. Versus like the most talented like blues guitarist just like, I just found this in a guitar, like a garage sale.
I've got this
Like,
guitar from a dumpster. It's pretty good.
a dumpster, and then make it sound like
It has
amazing.
no resonance.
Yeah. Oh my
The action?
gosh.
Yes. Is it tuned?
If we ever
Yes.
If we ever have enough time, I would really love to pick your brain about the how the music industry works in Paris or in France, because I know you could go on
it's
for
bad.
a while about that.
Yes, I could go on for a
Yeah.
long time. But I'm not really into the French music industry because I do not sing in French. So
Mhm.
I did a concert
Well, yeah,
in my
you were already
hometown to a French
Talking
audience.
about your hometown, yeah. Oh, how did that go? Remind me how that went,
that was-
by the way.
That went pretty good. We had less people come in than expected. But it was still like 25 people. That's fine. I mean, they all paid like, it was like a pay what
Hey,
you
25
want. And I
people
had
is
set it
better
at,
than
like,
just your mom in the background being like, such a good job.
she was there. And so was my sister.
That's fine.
And my dad was the sound and light technician. But that's okay.
That's even better. Because like my mom, for my first performance, my mom was there. She brought all of her friends. That's how I got my first performance, like my concert event. So
No, in my case, the venue promoted it to the local LGBT groups, and so no, there were like a few people who came, like a fair few people, and like there were like, it was like a joint event. Like just before my set, all these like groups had like tables set up, and like there was like an exchange going on and everything. That was very cool. And so it was just me. It was literally just me for the night. And so on the day of, I still had no idea how long they wanted my set to be. And like, I go into the green room, I start, doing my makeup and everything. And I just like go up to the venue owner. I'm like, so how long of a set do you want me to do? And she's like, I don't know. How long do you want to do? I'm like, is 90 minutes fine? She's like, oh yeah, hell yeah, go for 90 minutes. It's like,
5 hours. We do 5 hours.
I am not King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard yet. But no, I did 90 minutes. I was like, that's a good compromise.
Yeah.
I feel like an hour goes too fast. 2 hours is a bit too long. It starts to strain my voice. Though I do it for the Strange Bear Gallery. Hi, Pear. I 90 minutes.
Don't even
great.
get me started on cover
I do
gigs.
90 minutes, and like straight away, I'm like, I'm gonna see how people react to my first song, which is Always Born Again, and figure out if they understand anything at all. I play my song, and I see one person being like, oh my God. and the rest being like, huh? What? I'm like, okay, so they didn't get. Okay, so I'm like, this audience doesn't understand my song, so I'm gonna give context to every song before I sing, and I'm gonna make this into a comedy show, and I'm gonna start doing gender-based comedy between my songs. And people loved it.
That is a great idea. Absolutely.
I improvised the whole thing. I had no idea. I just improvised the whole thing. It was great. It was so fun. When time came for Cherry Shrimp God, I had set up 100 big pens on a tiny table, and there was like just like a light, like bathing on it. Like it was bathed in light. It was like holy and everything. And I just T-posed in the middle of the biggest stage.
Yeah.
And I was like, come to me, come take the big pens. And and like everyone got up and got them. And I'm so sad I couldn't do what I wanted to do because I didn't think of it in time. I wanted to get a big A3 sheet of paper, maybe even bigger, and have people use the pens to write on it the commandments of the religion of the Cherry Shrimp God. And so this way, I would be like in the middle of the song, at one part I'm like the Cherry Shrimp God would be like, oh, actually my commandments were, and I would start singing everything that's written on the page. It would be very fun. I forgot to do it. It's fine. People loved it.
Anything that gets crowd interaction is good. Like I also take improv classes. If you're an artist and you're performing, take improv classes. They're gonna help you so much.
Unless, like me, you were always a jokester in school, then you don't need to.
Then you don't need it. No, yeah. I've seen you. You are very good on stage, and some people are not. It took me a minute, especially like I had to do like a bunch of little cover gigs to get over my like. If I'm gonna mess something up, I'll mess something up, but like, don't make a big deal of it and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. I'm just gonna."
Yeah, at the show you were at Oral, I started singing a sapphic poem to a gay boy. And like halfway through it, I'm like, I forgot the song. And I was like, well, I forgot it. That just happens. Let's move on to the next one.
Yep. Or I just like make something up on the spot and try not to do anything profane.
I think if that is a fear you have, one of the most beautiful things I ever saw, just watch if you've ever seen the Get Back Sessions film that they did of the Beatles, when they play on the roof and everything.
Oh my God. Yes.
Don't Let Me Down, on the second verse, John Lennon goes, yes, he does. And you can see everybody laughing in the band, except for Paul. But yeah, it's fine. It happens to the best of us.
Yes, it does. Man,
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I watched that whole thing. Robbie made me watch that all those Get Back episodes. It was really cool. I was listening to it, I was watching it, and getting to see their process of how they created songs made me feel a lot better about my music making. A lot of their songs started off as just gobbledygook, and then they were just like mulling it over and hitting it over and over and over again. And then while this like movie producer that was supposed to like turn this into like a really cool venue where everybody was like gonna go to this like place in the desert, he just like gave up because he was just like, it was just taking too long. Like, having like a mental breakdown trying to get this done.
It's charming, but I guess that's interesting. I guess I can loop back to the album a little bit on this. It took me 4 months, right, for my album. I don't remember how long the Get Back sessions were, but a couple of months maybe. I don't know. I don't know at the top of my head, but at the time, the Beatles were so on top of the world that they were literally given access to Abbey Roads and do whatever the crap they wanted inside of there, like place microphones where they wanted. They just had their engineers, producers. They were able to just leave like teacups everywhere, and that was fine. That was pretty much unheard of at the time. Like, in general, if you were to make a album in the 60s, that would, and if you were a big band, you'd be more looking at like a week of studio time, and that's it. A week to record, that's it.
Yeah.
Sometimes even less, because it was pricey. Nowadays, we have a lot more freedom as musicians, because we can do a lot of what, even back then, in Abbey Roads with all the equipment they had, what we can do now at home with a computer in the box. They would have dreamt to be able to do that. We have limiters that can see into the future.
Yeah.
We have any compressor you want. I can dial any compression. I can dial feedback, feed forward, anything you want. You can do it. You want any equipment? Sure. There's like 1 million free plugins for that. This is insane. Like, we're able to do so much, and sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. And I guess it is an approach I took with the album, is that I tried to select like a handful of instruments that would be the defining sound. There are 4 Yeah, I think there are 4 drum kits on that album that kind of change here and there. There's guitar on every song, though the guitars change every time. Like I don't think there's a single song where I use the same guitar twice. I think I've used pretty much all my guitars actually on the no, there's a few I haven't. But then I have elements that are unique to each song. I have some pretty gnarly synths there. I have some synthesized kicks. I use like some GX7 emulations on certain ones. I have like bit crushing on some of the songs. Some I'll have like more. I have like an electric guitar. Like they all have, and that makes it that they all have some feeling of unicity, but at the same time as well that each song has its own. Its own sound. And I also tried, except for one of the songs that is the one song that I didn't start producing for it, that I've been carrying for a year and a half now in a zeitgeist of a state, and working on it was a nightmare. Except for that one, I made sure to keep the amount of recorded tracks low, and one of my new approaches to it is self-sampling, where I will be like, okay, today I am recording and producing for this song. I do everything I can during that day. Once I'm done recording, I am done recording. And if I have to cut things, do chopping, stretching, whatever, to fill out the rest of the song, I will. And it gives it this very unique identity, I think. And that is my new approach. Less hassle, less headache, so then I can move on to mixing and actually have fun.
Yeah, I would say one of my favorite sounds you've created in the album was "My Name Is Jill" from. I think you got a little bit that I heard some influence from Video Killed the Radio Star. A little bit in that because of your vocal like little manipulations on it. It may not have been, but I heard it in there.
I think Xenia is a bit closer to that in terms of like computer voice, I guess. But I can see why because like it has this very like because in Video Kill the Radio Star you have just like.
Yeah.
Which is like so you have like this like very close, very like in your face vocal, and like a very like a pounding 4 to the floor kick in the background, and it's pretty much it, which is very much what happens on the verses of My Name Is Jill.
It was very nostalgic for me. It sounded nice. It was very nice.
I had a lot of fun.
I was very surprised with your production.
It's probably also my favorite on the album, to be honest.
But yeah, when you first like hearing your songs live with just a guitar and hearing them with all this production, it just changed the attitude completely. It brought it more polished and gave it a nice platform for it to be seen. And
it was really
exciting
in my head. Because of the fact that I play those songs all the time, I always made up a way they would be sung and recorded in my head. And I was like, I want to break that. Because I already did it once before with Color Me Shocked. Color Me Shocked, when I play it with my guitar, I played in 4/4. It's very acoustic. And when I produced it, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do oh shit, what's the meter? 812, I think. Yeah. And I do something completely different, and I loved it. And I know some of my fans came up to me and were like, "Oh, I kind of miss just the acoustic guitar and everything." And I was like, "Well, you can still come to my concerts." But I enjoy this like giving each song its own unique character through production so much. And I think a big inspiration for that was the work that Whispers does. Because Whispers, when you go see Whispers play live, he's playing his guitar, his travel electric guitar, with like a few gentle effects, but it sounds pretty acoustic most of the time.
Very
and
good
that's
at crowd
right?
interaction.
Very good. It's also a big inspiration in terms of that. But also Whispers is I want to say gifted producer at this point. It's like Whispers is an excellent producer. And
He's like an all-in-one guy. It's crazy.
And yeah, like each one of his songs just sound very unique. They all sound very Whispers, because they will all have that moment where you get the acoustic guitar and you get the Whispers voice, very typical. All of them have at one point, like, it's Whispers, right? But they're all very unique in the way they're produced, and they all take you somewhere. And I was like, I want to do that with my music as well. And this is what I did on Baby Trance, coming out March 31st.
March 31st, exactly. It's gonna be we're gonna have a debut here in Storybook Song Club, and it's gonna be really great. Tell your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Be there.
Be there.
Be there. Well, thank you so much for being on this little podcast interview thing. I don't really know what it's gonna be, but we're figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, I mean, it gives very podcast with the table here. You're just missing like two SM7Bs, because that's the only mic you're allowed to have on a podcast apparently these days.
Or the Electro voice.
Oh yeah, the RE320. Yeah.
Yeah, with the little pop filter, that little metal pop filter that I can't seem to find anywhere else. I did manage to find that pop filter. That was, they're like $40. Yeah, or maybe $60.
Yeah, but the RE320 is $600. It's okay. When you have that much money, it's fine.
You're like, don't worry about it. Well, cool. Anything else you want to say before we skedaddle?
I think I'm good. Just get excited for my music. I'm gonna make CDs, by the way, that you'll be able to buy on my Bandcamp. Yeah, CDs. Nuts.
Yeah, I'll try to plug that on the YouTube. Well, cool. Yeah, Kookie. Listen to her stuff. Okay, show's over. Goes over, go home. Go home.